My kids have been singing a song recently,
Yeah.
and I don't. So I've not actually heard the song. I've only heard my kids sing the song, and I assume it's from a YouTube thing or a whatever. They're not on TikTok, so yeah, YouTube's the only place they are actually. So it'll be on YouTube,
Like
and
us.
yeah, and it's about how bad the Cybertruck is. But they were singing this song, and I'm like, that's the tune to Gilligan's Island. So I'm sure I'm late to the game, but there is going around the internet a song that's anti Cybertruck to the tune of Gilligan's Island,
Oh boy.
which I got to give it to my kids. They managed to sing it like they were singing the song, and I recognized the tune, and I was like, I know that tune. I can name that tune. So we'll see what other songs appear online. Uh, Tesla's making its way into the minds and the hearts of children.
But maybe not in the way they'd hoped.
Yeah, not in the best of ways, which is funny because they actually liked the Cybertruck when it came out. My kids were all in like when we were kids, it was all well, I mean, it wasn't our generation, it was generation before, but the slug bug.
Oh,
So you'd see the Volkswagen
I
bug.
thought you were gonna say Countach posters, but
No, no, like when you'd see a slug bug, you'd be like, slug bug, you point it out and then
yeah,
hit your sibling, which was, I think, a generation before us, but we continued
yeah.
that. And now when we're driving along, they spot all the Cybertrucks and they don't
Uh-huh.
punch each other. I have not introduced that yet. Cyber punch. Pow!
Oh,
Uh,
you just did.
I just did. Hopefully they don't watch this YouTube channel, which you will find at youtube.com/ at the what car. If you are not already there, I recommend going there. Who am I to tell you this? I am one of the co-founders of this thing, one of the people to blame. I'm Phil Royle. I am, I don't know, content creator for years, automotive industry. So long that most of the stuff that I have done is no longer in business and got out of business completely. So eventually, maybe the internet will go out of business and then I can claim, like, everything that I touched went out of business.
Ed Sanchez, uh, automotive content creator and moderator before Facebook. How about that? Anyway, uh, day job, automotive electronics industry analyst, and the Watt Car co-founder and contributor.
We'll get to more of Tesla in a minute.
But first,
But first, you wanted to talk about something else.
yes. So this is something I feel, I don't know if I'd say passionate. That might be a little too strong, but I have strong feelings about.
I don't know if I'm
Um,
really passionate. It may sound like I'm passionate about some of the things I talk about, but I can't say I really am genuinely passionate.
I describe you as excitable.
Yes. Oh, that's good. The excitable Philip. That's me.
Anyway, um, so we've talked here and there about franchise dealerships and EVs and kind of why Tesla originally made the decision to go factory direct and the other companies that kind of followed in their footsteps, namely Rivian and Lucid. And another company that wants to, but has a little fight on their hands, is Scout, which is a division of Volkswagen by most definitions. However, they're kind of playing cutesy with that to try to get around certain laws and regulations, so to speak, in certain states. Uh, so Scout has already gone on record a few months ago saying they think they should be able to sell factory direct, that they shouldn't have to go through franchise dealers, just take it straight to the people, so to speak. They've taken an additional step now, which there's, I don't know. I'm not going to say there's no turning back from this, but this is kind of like the equivalent of saying, "You want to take this outside?" So they're getting pretty serious about this. I guess Scout filed, I guess submitted a letter to the Department of Justice,
A
uh,
strongly worded letter?
strongly worded letter to the DOJ, urging them to quote take all steps necessary to eliminate state motor vehicle franchise laws, calling them burdensome restrictions on competition. So that is basically direct slap in the face to NADA, the National Auto Dealers Association. Um, to me, I don't know. To me, this seems even more provocative than anything. Well, at least in this specific area that Elon did. I mean, Elon's done a lot of stuff, but in terms of really getting in the face of dealers, this to me, this is bigger than anything Elon tried to do. As Tesla had a lot of kind of state by state battles with dealerships, but I don't, to my knowledge, they've never taken it to a federal court and said, we want franchise laws repealed nationwide. So this is the first time I've heard of an OEM brand attempting to do this. Now, if you know otherwise, please say something in the comments, but
Yeah, I mean,
this is a pretty big move. So,
recently Ford tried to skirt the system by dividing up their company into like Blue Oval and
Ford Blue and Ford Gray or whatever.
yeah, whatever that was. And that was like the electric. You could argue that was trying to do the electric division and the ICE division.
Yeah.
But I think the reality was it was uh, sell direct to people ultimately.
Well, I mean, now
Circle
okay,
around the
so
dealers in a way.
so Jim Farley has said, kind of in passing, not really definitively, but he's basically kind of said, yeah, it would be nice if we could sell factory direct, but I don't I don't think he's really gone to the mat and really gotten in the face of NADA
No. In
to
fact,
this level.
he even backed
So,
down when his dealers, because they were having to sign in to be an electric.
mhm.
If you wanted electric cars, you had to sign a letter that you're going to invest X millions of dollars over the
Mhm.
course of the next few years and
And they were
whatever.
basically like, F that.
Yeah,
So,
everybody, all the Ford dealers like said no to that. And so he's tried some things with dealers that probably
mhm,
ultimately end game was get rid of dealers
mhm. Yeah.
and failed miserably. So this is, I mean, I guess if you're going to do this, then having your scrappy little startup as Volkswagen, your scrappy little Scout startup, um, take on the dealers, like it's no harm, no foul, kind of. Because if
okay.
Scout goes out of business, it's not like Volkswagen goes out of business.
No. So here, but you touched on an interesting point, because this is where NADA is kind of pushing back a little bit, in that Volkswagen's trying to word, or excuse me, Scout is trying to word this, that they're a startup uh, automaker,
Yeah.
when they're clearly, at least in my mind, a division of Volkswagen. But they're trying to use that as an argument, that's saying we're a new entrant like Tesla, like Rivian, like Lucid. So therefore, we should have the option of being able to sell direct.
And in fact, one of their biggest partnerships they have, like public partnerships that Scout has, is with Rivian.
Well, I mean, kind of in a roundabout way with the through the Volkswagen Group, but yeah.
Yeah. So they're kind of
Um,
they're aligning themselves. That brand is being aligned with the startups
yeah,
in some
so to
way. I
speak.
think they're playing a game here.
No,
I kind of wonder if this is the point of Scout. If the point of Scout is not to sell, to be successful selling electric
but create publicity.
vehicles. No, to get rid of the dealer network.
Well,
I wonder
so
if
okay,
this is like Volkswagen, this is the toe of the camel under the sheet of the bed or whatever the analogy is. I don't know. That they're using
toe of
Scout
the
as
camel means some other things, but this is a family show, so
they're
anyway.
I wonder if they're using Scout as a sacrificial lamb per se.
So yeah, so, and I need to be careful about. I don't know if my family members listen to this. Um, some my uncle, my late uncle, was a car dealer for many years, had a franchise dealership. He's no longer with us. Lord rest his soul. But personally, philosophically, I don't think there should be these like restrictive. I think every company should have the right to be able to sell factory direct. Okay, and I know that's a hot take. maybe this will be our highest rated episode because of all the controversy it creates. I'm just going to say it. I think Ford, GM, Toyota, whoever, they want to sell factory direct and take on all the responsibilities associated with that. Go for it. The original, my understanding is the whole like factory direct franchise thing kind of effectively kind of reached its fever pitch in the 1930s, which is, and I guess back then there was kind of the similar tension because some of the franchisees felt that they were at an unfair disadvantage to the OEMs who were trying to sell factory direct because they didn't have the same amount of overhead. And they're saying, hey, this isn't fair. You sign these contracts with them and now you're trying to undercut us. So that's kind of where these kind of state by state franchise laws kind of really started to take off. Again, this is my kind of broad 30,000 foot understanding. And then over time, they became more and more kind of cemented into like law and tradition and so forth. And it still varies a lot state by state. I mean, California, relatively speaking, has relatively loose franchise laws. So therefore, you do have factory direct sales for Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. I think in California, they actually even allow legacy brands to have factory direct stores. The restriction is in the geographic zone. Like it can't be within so many miles of a franchise.
So they still abide by like the franchise restrictions of like you can't have a dealer within, like you get a territory when you buy into a franchise.
Yeah. So my understanding.
So they're kind of abiding by the territory rule.
Yeah. So
but then they're saying if it's not in a territory, we can do whatever we want.
Yeah. So in California, it's like territory based. So
because there's whole swaths of California that there's nothing.
Oh yeah.
There's just farmland.
I think don't quote me on this, but I think it's like either a 50 or 100-mile radius. Like if you're outside of that and there's no competing franchise owned dealership, you can. But just because they've been doing business this way for decades, most OEMs just kind of stick with the franchise model just because that's the way they've been doing it. It's easier just not to upset the apple cart. Just, they kind of go with it.
I wonder if we'll ever untangle any of this.
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think that's what Scout's trying to do is he's trying to bring it to the DOJ and possibly, I think with the arguments and going back and forth, I think best case scenario, Scout is hoping this gets as high as the Supreme Court. Potentially, the Supreme Court rules on it. Obviously, they're hoping in their favor. And just in one fell swoop, just, boom.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, NADA, is going to cry bloody murder. Of course, they already are, but,
Yeah, it makes you wonder if...
So NADA's point is Scout is part of Volkswagen. Volkswagen has franchise dealers.
Mm-hmm.
And the franchise dealers should get at the minimum first right of refusal for Scout franchises. Whereas Volkswagen is like, no, Scout's going to be its own thing. We're going to sell direct. You guys, sorry, no soup for you.
They're going to sell direct right up until they decide that they're going to put them in a Volkswagen dealer. So they want to fight this fight, and then they're going to put them in Volkswagen dealerships as well, so people could come and test drive.
I mean, that's what the VW dealers want because they see all the buzz that's been created on Scout and all the excitement. They're like, hey, we want a piece of this.
And what are they going to set up, like service centers like Tesla did, so they could just service Scouts? No, they'll have them go to a Volkswagen dealership.
Yeah, they may. I mean, if it tilts in the direction of the dealers, what VW may require is you have to have a separate showroom or separate space for the Scouts, and they'd say you got to pay for it, like the big beautiful wall. But anyway, I mean, I think in the early days of Genesis, the Genesis dealers were paired. The few that were with Hyundai dealers. But I think ultimately, once it became more of its own established brand, they said you have to build a separate showroom or kind of a dedicated space for it. So they may end up doing that. But I mean, best case scenario for Scout is this kind of escalates through the judicial system, goes to the Supreme Court, and does a ruling.
They're like, I don't care. It's about selling EVs. That's it.
Well, I mean,
I don't care.
Well, no, but see, so I have heard some chatter and commentary on this for what it's worth. Is now that that Trump and Musk have kind of had their falling out, that Trump may put his thumb on the scale in favor of the dealers, just because he knows this would indirectly benefit Tesla
Hmm.
too. So he's like, well, F those guys.
Yeah.
So,
No, it would open up states that they are still battling in.
yeah. So
So yeah, that
any,
actually
I,
could be interesting to see, not from like a legal perspective. Because if it went to the Supreme Court, it wouldn't be about can dealerships do this, whatever. It would be about an established thing. It's a more overarching thing that
well,
would.
it's more, I think at the Supreme Court level, again, I'm not a legal scholar. I think it would be more philosophical
Yeah.
because then it would come down to a matter of states' rights versus, the, I'm probably misapplying this, but you've heard the supremacy clause.
Mm,
Kind of, it's like
yeah.
basically federal law um,
Supersedes.
supersedes
Yeah.
supersedes state law. So then it would be an argument of, okay, do we respect the state law or do we just kind of say, nope, this is this is a federal matter. It, I have kind of loosely heard people apply the interstate commerce clause uh, for an argument in favor of factory direct sales, saying that the franchise system is like an obstacle of free commerce, so to speak. I
I think
don't.
the problem with this, and we should move on
So
because we have spent like 10 minutes on this subject, if not more.
anyway,
I think part of
neither
the
one of
problem
us
is
are
that
lawyers, but
generally, yeah, we don't know what we're talking about, and I don't particularly care. Like, if I got to go to a dealership to buy a car, I get the thing from a dealership. If I don't go to the dealership, then I order
I
it. It's a different way of ordering different things. If I want certain types of food, some restaurants are fast food, some you sit down. If I want a McDonald's burger, I go there. If I want to sit down at a fancy restaurant and get like a Wagyu whatever thing burger, then I go there. It's like, what do I want? And then that's where I go.
see to me, okay, so to me, it's more about the experience, and I've predominantly, and maybe I'm making it too personal with this. My predominant experience with franchise dealers has not been positive. Is
Oh
they
yeah, I've
try to
never
up,
had a positive experience with a dealer.
they always try to upsell you on useless crap you
Yeah.
don't really need,
Yep.
and they nickel and dime you. They'll charge whatever markup they want to that the market will permit, and they put you in the F&I office. They make you say, "Oh, let me talk to my
Yeah.
manager," and all that
It's
kabuki
miserable. It's
theater.
awful. But at the same time, who's the government to say that they should mandate your experience in purchasing
Okay, I'm not saying they
a
should
vehicle?
mandate that, but they should let. I think they should let consumers have a choice. That's all I'm
You have
saying.
one.
And I did. I bought a Tesla.
Yeah.
Doesn't
You
have
have a
dealers.
choice.
So
You currently have the choice.
speaking of Tesla,
Yeah, okay. So
this
I've
is in
been
your
seeing this.
backyard,
This is in my backyard, and you said before the show, "Hey, are you gonna go?" And I'm like,
and
"Nah,
you're like,
probably not." So
no,
it's in LA. Like I'm gonna go into LA. So
ew,
Tesla's diner finally opened in kind of the Hollywood area.
Hollywood, yeah.
And it's got two big screens that block the views of the apartments next to it. It's pretty sweet. Two-story. I guess downstairs must be the like kitchen, and then upstairs seems to be like a
Lounge. I don't know.
I don't know. You could get. So I saw. You've got some specs on here that you gave me, so I sound like I know what I'm talking about. 80 supercharger stalls, in-car ordering. So basically, it's like a Sonic, but with
No. The
with
different, not
chargers
just in-car ordering. It's built into the infotainment display.
of
Like
your.
of your Tesla. If
So
you
it's
have a
like
Tesla,
an
you pull in. I guess
So it's
I
like
don't
an
know if it's
NFC thing that it'll or NFC
well. No, I guess
near
it'll.
field community. Yeah,
Well, I
that it'll
guess.
it'll recognize your car in the stall
Well,
and
I
it'll
mean
go boom boom boom.
geolocation. I don't
Yeah,
know the specific protocol, but
yeah.
it'll recognize you're in the area and say. I think I heard it was part of the theater app. You know how when you park, you
Mm,
can watch Netflix or whatever.
yeah,
It'll pop up like, "Oh, we noticed you're at the Tesla diner.
yeah.
Would you like to order food?" And so I guess you can order your food directly from your car.
Hmm. And
So
then car hop waitresses on roller skates, which, unless the rules have changed, you
I already.
can't force them to be on roller skates.
No, I think it's optional. But
Yes, they can be, if it's anything like a Sonic, they can be on roller skates if they choose to be on roller skates, but you can no longer
cannot
force
force
them
them. Yeah,
to be on roller skates. I know somebody that owns a couple Sonics that
there you
went
go.
through this. All right, I watched a news thing. It was a local news channel,
Hmm.
and they sent their correspondent out And she was up there and she was like, yeah, they're apparently known for their shakes. And so she took a sip of her shake. She's like, it's all right. So, I mean, how can it be
Ringing
known?
endorsement.
How can they be known for their shakes? They literally just opened for business. But they had an Optimus there
Mm-hmm.
serving popcorn to the media. Slowest freaking thing you've ever seen in your life. Absolutely
Okay,
giant
so
waste
that
of time.
so that
And
makes
this,
me wonder. Okay, I think I might know where you're going, but go ahead.
um, I just am like, Elon said that Optimus is the future of the company, that we're all going to have 20 of these things sitting around, and then you're going to be able to get them for a nickel in a Cracker Jack box. And that's great. That's his vision of the future. How useful these things are. They're going to be everywhere. And what use does he have for them right now is very slowly serving popcorn, painfully slowly serving popcorn. And the biggest party trick that it can do is if you go to take a picture of it, it will stop serving the popcorn and it will wave. This is the future of Tesla. Is this Optimus? This is not the future of anything.
I'm gonna get real nerdy here. I've not seen that video you're talking about, but my guess is because it's so slow. Because some people were speculating, oh, they have Optimus, but we think it's teleoperation. Like in the back room, they have a guy in like a suit, kind of.
It could be. I mean, I don't know. It accurately did the task.
But the fact that it's doing it slowly makes me think it's probably operating on its own. Because if they had a human operator kind of doing teleoperation, my guess is it would probably go a little faster, with the bodysuit kind of.
Yeah.
But if
No,
it's
this thing was, this was very mechanical, very slow. And I'm like, I looked at this and went, he gave this big speech about how Optimus is the future of Tesla, yada, yada, yada. And I saw this and went, wow, the best use case you can come up with is your robot is going to serve popcorn. You're going to put the serving staff on roller skates to deliver the food. You can't do that with an Optimus? Like, I don't know. I mean, I know we got a long way to go.
I mean, he might hear that and that like a couple months you might see Optimus on roller skates.
Maybe, but I don't know. I was fine with the Charger. The Charger's fine. It blocks some views for apartments. There'll be issues with nighttime and the big 45-foot screens and illumination and all this stuff. There'll be issues with all of that. Screens will break, whatever. Generally, it's a good idea. This is fun. It's a fun, neat
attraction.
It's fun and neat. If I am in the area, I will go by there. I'll take a look. I'll maybe order one of their world famous shakes and say, it's all right.
It's okay.
But I looked at it as what use case did Tesla have for an Optimus? And what a waste of a robot. This is like $1 million robot serving popcorn.
I have thoughts on Optimus. But again, I don't want to waste a whole episode on it, but I wouldn't let its current state and capabilities distract you from the potential. And I know you're saying, oh, Ed, you're just fanboying again, but anyway,
what you said just reminded me of all those, when there's comments on the Facebook and people are like, don't let this distract you from the fact that Al Bundy scored 5 touchdowns in one game. Like, have you not seen those? That was like, don't let this poor performance of this robot that Elon Musk has stated he's placed the entire future of the company on. Don't let that distract you from the fact that maybe one day in the future this can serve popcorn a little bit faster, but not as fast as a human.
I'll tell you something else. Tesla staked their entire future on, at least for a while, was the Model Y. It seemed like.
Yes.
Or a lot of the fortunes of the company kind of centered around that.
Yeah.
So I guess now there's a new variation thereof
coming out
right now, just for China, I think.
Yeah. So there's actually 2 vehicles just for China. The Model Y L, which is a 6-seater Model Y.
Extended wheelbase, yeah.
And it's 7 inches longer, 6 inches more wheelbase, 1 inch taller, and $50,000, which is great. Other than this article in Electric pointed out, the Neo Onvo L90, which I had not heard of, but a Chinese comparable vehicle, for $30,000. So Tesla's trying to get into that, or they're trying to, because I guess their sales pretty much worldwide. It's tanked, essentially. They've
Hmm.
decreased. And here they're going to China and, within China, and they're like, well, here we'll make this, but they can't even, they're 20 grand off of the competition.
Yeah. Well, but so I guess the way they sell the Neo is like 30,000, and you have to rent the
Oh, yeah, yeah,
batteries
yeah.
separately.
Yes. So it's
But if
really
you want to
40.
own it, it's really 40. So,
Yeah.
it's about 10 or $11,000 difference.
Yeah. It's
Well, I mean,
still, it's like the Tesla name's only going to take them so far.
but the story of Tesla in China is interesting because when they first got in there, like the growth trajectory of the Chinese automotive market is really nothing like the world has seen, honestly. Um, when Tesla first got there, there was the buzz and kind of the novelty, and they were really considered very advanced and high tech and kind of quasi exotic. But since then, a lot of the Chinese brands have just iterated like incredibly quickly, have come up with new models with more features, lower price, just boom, boom, boom. So Tesla all of a sudden has a lot of competition in China.
And we've
Now,
covered this before
yeah.
that Chinese brands used to be a joke in the automotive world. They used
Mhm.
to look bad. They were just like a poor design. It was like a draw. Somebody drew another car as described over the phone, and that was kind of what they look like.
Uh,
And now these things are great. Like pretty
yeah.
much across the board, all the Chinese automakers are making quality stuff.
Mhm.
And I kind of wonder if Tesla's been left, and maybe other American brands and other non-Chinese brands have been like a little bit underprepared
I think
for it.
that's an understatement. Some brands have like full fledged like said we're done. I want to say Jeep has totally exited the China market. They're just like we can't even compete anymore, so we're done. Yeah, no. So it's interesting. I mean, China has historically had kind of a preference for longer wheelbase. They have a lot of chauffeur-driven cars for like businessmen because their cities are notoriously congested. So a lot of times you'll see like minivans are considered a premium model in China, as
Hmm.
weird as that sounds here. We think of them as mommy mobiles. The minivans in China have like theater screens, like first class airline type seating. It's insane. But anyway, so interesting variant for that. The other one, to your point, second model, uh, extended range Model 3 Plus. Um, Again, I we don't have a lot of specs on this other than around 300 horsepower, rear wheel drive. Um, and interestingly, for a Chinese market model, is South Korea or battery source from LG. You'd think that'd be from like
That's
CATL or BYD, but
that's the bit that struck
yeah,
me with this is okay, 500-mile range, whatever, whatever. But the fact that they're changing, I actually don't know where the batteries were that they were sourcing before, but you would think that you would go with the Chinese man.
BYD or CATL. Yeah,
Yeah, you would just think because right now, especially right now, when tariffs galore
yeah,
are being thrown around, you would keep everything single sourced if it was easy. And China's like one of the countries that you can easily source batteries from.
yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, it is kind of interesting because you'd think it would be sourced domestically, but remember, this is not. My guess is these packs are not transshipped through the U.S. So if anything, this would be direct trade between South Korea and China, or
Yeah, I
and
just
I don't
can't
know
believe
this,
that they're not going to put tariffs on things in order to keep things.
but I mean, for all I know, LG has, in fact, I'm sure they do have a battery plant in China
Mm,
to supply the Chinese market. So this is just a matter of like intellectual property and just who had the best solution at the time.
yeah,
So anyway, yeah, somewhat interesting. Um, they say they're shooting for a 500-mile range. I'm assuming that's
the Chinese.
CLTC,
Yep.
which is their standard, which I think is even more optimistic than the
Yeah.
WLTP from what I've heard,
Yeah, I
because
used to
I think
remember.
the average speed is like 20 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, I,
But
I used to know what the general conversion was that people used to generally use, and now I don't remember. But it
yeah,
is exactly what you said. Is like there's the American standard, which says you don't get any range, then the European standard that says you get a like 20% more, something like that. And then there's the Chinese one where it's just like, yay, it's raining miles.
So
It's
if this
awesome.
was like miles, I'm guessing this would maybe be like 400.
Yeah, this is
Still pretty
probably
good.
like 350 or 400 miles.
Well, no, the current rear wheel drive model in the US is 363
Well,
EPA.
okay, there you go. 400 miles. We'll
So
call it.
yeah. Anyway, so you know how we've talked about strange names in the car industry,
Yeah, there's a
and I
few.
remember originally when the BZ4X, which was one of the original weird ones, but uh, the um, the Subaru clone of that,
Hmm.
I know you had some fun with that,
Yeah,
was Solterra.
yeah, I just kept thinking saltine when they came out with that. And it just, I don't know. It's a
Do
weird,
you want to?
but to me, it all went, naming went south when Volkswagen released its, wasn't the Touareg. It was
Tiguan?
Tiguan. That's what it was. And I got invited. I was on a long lead, a Volkswagen long lead.
Uh huh.
And I'm sat there at the table because they wine and dine you and they do all that. And I'm sat there with one of like the VPs at this table and we're
What does it
drinking.
mean?
And I said, you really, because the Tiguan was named via a competition.
Hmm.
They opened it up. This is how you end up with Bodie McBoatface, is you leave it to the public to vote on something. Well, this was before Bodie McBoatface. So Volkswagen did this thing, people voted, they came up with Tiguan.
Hmm.
And I said to the guy, you need to stop letting people name your vehicles. Like, you're gonna end up with more names like Tiguan. And guess who's never been invited back to a Volkswagen long lead?
So you can correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is it's a portmanteau of tiger and iguana. I don't
You're
know.
not making it better. You're not
Anyway, so
the vicious iguana
the
tiger.
vicious iguana. Yes. So
Yeah,
okay,
so if you want to get invited to long leads,
don't make fun of the
manufacturers,
name of their vehicles.
don't follow my advice because
Okay.
I used to go to a lot of Volkswagen stuff
And
up
then all of a
until
sudden,
then. Yep, suddenly dried
yeah.
out for me. So
So
what have people done? What's going on?
so Subaru is doing badge engineering on yet another Toyota model. This time the CHR, which is turning into an EV. I think we discussed this a couple episodes
Did
ago.
we? I missed that. So that's news to me.
So
All
you want
right.
to take a crack
Oh
on the
no, I do
name?
remember that. I was here.
You were here.
I was here.
You want to take a crack at the name of this new wonder?
No.
How about this? Uncharted.
Uncharted. Well, at least it doesn't sound like a cracker.
No, but it sounds like kind of a emo pop album or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
it's the next Taylor Swift album.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I remember this will date me because I mean I was only a kid when this happened. I remember when the Pathfinder came out,
Hmm.
and you know, granted, I was like 10 or 11, but I thought that's kind of a weird name. And now I don't think twice. It's like, oh, Pathfinder.
Yeah.
But at the
No.
time, I'm like, what? So
Yeah.
Uncharted, I don't know.
You get numb to these things. I don't know. I guess naming is hard, and they keep going in cycles. Like they'll name it just numbers, and then they name it
A
names,
name.
and names are hard. So they'll eventually go back to numbers. I mean, like you started with this with the BZ4X, and now that's just the BZ.
BZ. And probably
And
next generation will be the RAV4E
yeah, and
or
then just
whatever.
or just the RAV4.
Yeah,
Let's just
period.
yeah. I don't know. So yeah, I mean, Subaru does. I mean, I guess Uncharted's fine for something for a
I
Subaru.
guess it just I don't know. It just seems strange to me, but
It's kind of adventurous of a name. It's better than Solterra. Uh,
all right. Well, you heard it here first, folks.
it's better by the
So
Uncharted. It's better than Solterra.
yeah.
Boom.
So this next one I don't again, and I don't want to come across as culturally insensitive.
But
Um, but so BYD, as we previously discussed, is one of China's larger OEMs. They have a whole bunch of different brands in addition to just BYD. Their top of the line brand. Now, do you remember the dancing sports car?
Do I remember the dancing sports car? I think I do. I think that
Yeah,
was the
the
thing
one
that
that,
they could like do the stuff with the
yeah.
suspension. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this is that brand. And that brand is Yang Wang.
Yeah. I don't.
So I guess they have ambitions to expand outside of China, and they are going to Europe.
And are they going with the Yang Wang name?
It sounds like it.
Hmm. Interesting.
So, I mean, I don't know. Maybe that doesn't it doesn't sound as strange in Europe, but I don't know. Just going for like American slang vernacular, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm looking at there's an article that you sent a link to that's an autocar article, and there's a couple models on there. I guess I could go to the Yang Wang website. And they look, some of them look fine. Some of
No,
them
I
look,
think that the cars themselves are fine and competitive and on
yeah.
paper are very nice.
Do you think
And
they can get over the name? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just yeah, I'm just wondering
They're starting with
if they're gonna launch with this or if they're gonna launch with the more Western sounding name. Um, I mean, I can. So give you an example. There's another. I don't know exactly who they're affiliated with, but there's another premium brand in China called Luxeed.
hmm.
Um, and similar. Again, I'm dating myself as like a Gen Xer, but when Lexus first launched, I thought, uh, it's kind of sounds. It's inoffensive, but kind of generic. You know, I kind of feel the same way about Luxeed. It's kind of like
It is
Lexus,
actually.
Luxeed.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know Even like when Genesis launched, it's kind of like it sounded vaguely thematically kind of like Infinity Genesis, except a
Yeah.
little more biblical, I guess. And
Yeah.
um so I don't know. I don't know how this is going to translate. I don't know if they're ultimately going to change it for Europe and call it like royalty, or I don't know.
I don't
Or
know. So you put a note here. Brand is positioned as rivaling Bentley, Porsche, and Ferrari. That's ambitious.
That's ambitious.
So you're like, should I buy the Porsche, the Ferrari, or the Yang Wang? I think you've got a point.
Just saying. So again, you can post hateful comments on the YouTube video and say how culturally insensitive I am. I don't know. I would consider maybe, well, like I said, maybe Europe doesn't care. Maybe they'd be all over it and not care.
Yeah.
If they were to try to bring this to the US, I would consider a rebrand. Anyway,
Yeah. I don't know. Have anything
uh,
else you want to talk about? We got like a minute here. We got a minute. What
um,
do we have? Is Mercedes pausing production of EQ models due to slow demand? Is that a
yeah.
surprise? I mean, in my neighborhood, I see
Mhm.
quite a few.
Well, but I think we're kind of the outliers. I mean, we're in
Yeah,
California. I
yeah.
mean, you go to like, South Dakota or Nebraska, and it's like
Do you
you see
think
one EV on your entire visit.
do you think this has got to do, is this worldwide demand or is this America
No, this is
demand?
just US. I
And
think overseas are going to continue to
do you think this has got to do with,
big, beautiful tariffs.
yeah,
I'm sure
and
that's a,
big beautiful tariffs and pulling the purchase credit, and so
yeah,
basically
yeah,
everything just increased in price.
yeah. Although I want to say they make not the sedans, but I think possibly some of the EQ SUVs in Alabama. I think so. But I mean, if they're not selling, they're not selling. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
And self-repairing batteries. What is
Yeah.
that?
So long story short, some European researchers are working on batteries with a bunch of different like sensors where they're going to try to more actively manage like the temperature and the thermal expansion and
Hmm.
the like chemical footprint or whatever. And I guess the basis of this is they're trying to develop silicon batteries, but the only, or I shouldn't say the only, but one of the big disadvantages of silicon as opposed to graphite, which is the usual material, that kind of the base material they make batteries out of, is it can swell.
Mm.
It's a lot more prone to swelling than graphite. So basically, they're trying to find ways to try to manage that to make them less prone to swelling or that it creates less issues when it does. So anyway, so self-repairing batteries, link in the show notes.
Yeah, I keep going back to we're in such early days for the for EVs
Mm-hmm.
completely. That yeah, okay, it's 2025 and Tesla's been around for a while and all this stuff. But fast forward another 15 years
Mm-hmm.
and
They're
it's
going to
going to
seem
be
like Model Ts, yeah.
yeah. And that all of this is going to be like self-repairing batteries. Why would you batteries wouldn't get damaged anyway? Like it's a
They're good for 1,000,000 miles.
yeah, like it's one of those things that's like
Yeah.
this shows its early days in the technology to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows that we're probably pushing the technology we've got faster and harder than what it can support
Yeah.
right now. So it's good. I mean, these are the advances that we need. We need these advances in everything, or else you end up like me. And I don't know if you're on YouTube. I've got a battery that I had to cut out of a device
Was it getting crusty or?
no, it was the battery no longer holds a charge.
Oh.
And they thought really well about this and made a very expensive piece of electronic equipment and then sealed it in foam, in hard foam. So it was waterproof and vibration proof and everything. It's a race car part. But to get it out, you've got to cut the thing to pieces because they made it a non-serviceable part. And just this device is so expensive.
So you're actually going to try to replace and reseal it?
Yeah.
How much would be to just replace the whole thing?
Somewhere between $500 and $700. And this is a $3 battery.
Okay. Hey, if you can do well, I get it. I get it. Can you successfully repair said part?
I think so.
Is there like a YouTube tutorial or
No.
you're just gonna wing it and try not to electrocute yourself?
Me and a Dremel. I already got the battery out. But this is a technology that I mean they put it in there I think to obsolete itself. So then you would go and spend another $500 to $700 on one of these things. And I'm too cheap to do that, so I'll just cut the thing to pieces and redo it. But I don't think that this was made correctly to be serviced. I think it was using a technology that would die eventually, that you would have damage to eventually, and it's non-serviceable and all of this. And I look at a lot of like EV stuff from early days and go, wow, you're going to have to replace the entire battery pack, and that's the most expensive part. Eventually, this won't be the case. You know, that it will be the battery will wear out, but it'll be 1,000,000 miles, or the battery will wear out at 500,000 miles, but it'll be a standardized swapping system. It'll be something along those lines. Like every Toyota is interchangeable batteries. Like you'll have multiple chassis that you have the truck chassis and you've got the car chassis, and all of the batteries are interchangeable within those. So there's really only like 3 battery configurations that all of Toyota uses. And there's just, I don't know. I look at this stuff and go,
well, even I don't know
Early
if you
days.
even remember this. The early Model S's had like a problem with memory rewriting in their infotainment systems. Whereas, you know, like most modern computers or whatever, at some point they start to overwrite old files.
yeah,
And I think that, you know, most systems, they kind of, they, you know, once the old memory cache gets old, it just starts getting overwritten. I guess the early Model S's, it just added and added and added. It never like deleted the old memory. So it got to a point where
it was a hoarder.
well, basically they kind of reached like the blue screen of death stage where they basically filled up their memory and you had to basically replace the computer. They don't do that
pretty
anymore.
sweet.
But
Yeah.
I mean, talking about the early days of EVs, I mean,
Yeah.
this, you know,
Yeah, we've come a long way, and I think we've got a long way to go. And this repairable battery, self-repairing batteries, is great. All right, now let's go. Everything we talked about, I'll have a link in the show notes, unless I run out of time because I'm time crunched today. In which case, there won't be any show notes. You know what? Go and check to see if I put any show notes in there. You can do that by going to youtube.com/@thewhatcar, or if you're listening to the audio-only version, it'll be embedded somewhere via the magic of podcasts. And you can see whether or not I had time. I don't know. We're on social medias. I don't know. Whatever. Just watch us on YouTube. It's fine. Thewhatcar.com/advertise. Big companies. Yang Wang, come on in. The water's nice here. Advertise. We won't make fun of your name if you do. It'll be great.
All right. Until next week.
See ya.